Okay, guys, first off, first question, obviously, you guys are the morning shift. So what time do you come in, and how long does it take you to get your show together?
We do come in separately. I don't know if you're I get in around 5.
You don't carpool?
No, we don't carpool. Although I get in around 5 just to get on the internet. I like to watch SportsCenter since I'm not up late at night watching games. So I'll get in around 5, take about 45 minutes just to watch the highlights and go on the internet, and then try and put some notes together for the show. He's got a little bit more responsibility because he's got to do updates.
Well, and Jeremy, you're a much younger guy. Much younger guy. I assume there's still a nightlife in your social calendar. So how do you deal with the early mornings?
Naps. But I mean, it's not what it once was. I mean, I'm not in my 20s anymore. I could at one point stay out a lot later, and you just kind of get sleep when you can. The beauty about working in the morning is the rest of the day is whatever you want. And I wouldn't trade the morning for anything, because by the time we're out of here, if you need to catch up, you can catch up. If you want to go play golf or anything like that, watch sports, whatever it is. So I wouldn't trade it for anything. In terms of what time I get up and get here, if you're not a morning person, you will become one, because there's no sleeping in once you've adjusted to this lifestyle. It's pretty much over.
So how do you deal with the night sporting events? Because I assume you have to watch them to a certain extent, right?
Depends. I mean, Bills obviously are watching the game. Sabres are watching the game. But with national games, like I said, I'll watch ESPN. Or he'll bring up some highlights on the computer, on the internet. I'll be able to see some plays. If there's a big game or a big play, a controversy, the ending of the Green Bay-Seattle game, I will have seen it on SportsCenter or on the internet before we get on the air, so I'll have a fairly good handle on what we'll be talking about.
Yeah, I think that it's the same for a lot of our listeners. If they're up at 6 listening to us, chances are they fell asleep too. So, there's almost an element of, well, did you see it last night? And if not, we'll tell you about it and we'll get your thoughts on it, because you're going to see it. The power of Twitter and Facebook allow us to basically directly send the links out to anybody that really hasn't caught up. So if you fell asleep, we might have as well, and nobody really misses out, I don't think.
You're now the flagship station for both the Buffalo Bills and the Buffalo Sabres. Howard, has that changed the show at all? You're now doing interviews with general managers, with quarterbacks, with coaches. Has it changed your take on what you want to say, as opposed to when you were on the outside looking in?
No, not really. And we went through this at NSA. We were the Sabres flagship. It didn't change things then. No one from the Sabres ever came, don't say this, or you have to say this. It doesn't happen here either. The only thing that changed with the Bills is you brought up the shows. Last year, we would not have had Buddy Nix on the air. We would not have had Chan Gailey. We would not have had Ryan Fitzpatrick. They have exclusive deals with the rights holder. So that's the only thing that changes. Our accessibility to certain guests on the show is better than it was. But no one's told us, take it easy on them after a loss, and you can't say this, and don't question Chan's play calling, and don't ask Buddy about bad drafts. We do whatever we were doing before the rights holder deal.
How much of your show is what you would call sports talk, as in a call-in show? I mean, how much call-in do you involve in the morning show?
When the calls are there, we'll take them. I mean, it's predominantly, we'll give our opinions, and then hopefully people will feel something strongly, yay or nay, about it, and call us. The calls are there for guests. Calls are there for us. It's us talking about the things we want to bring up, but I like the interaction. I mean, people are going to disagree with us, and it can bring up different points. It can further a discussion. It makes for good radio when people disagree with us and bring up different points. So callers are always welcome to join the show.
Yeah, I would agree. And even if it's a call that we don't agree with, or we get in a shouting match with somebody, it's the same thing as the coaches and the GMs. It's never personal. It's about furthering the discussion. And sometimes a finger quotes bad call is a good call, because it'll lead other people that might have been afraid to say that to come out and say, no, guys, I agree with that. And then the conversation just continues in that way. So I think it's a very organic process with the callers.
And we got a call screener, but I don't think we've ever had Dan or any of our producers say, don't put that guy on the air. As long as it doesn't get personal, I mean, you can disagree and bring up whatever you want. And we might think it's crazy, and they might think we're crazy about certain things, but that's the fun of the discussion.
Well, the Weiner line accommodates the crazies.
That's its own little world. That's
and people
true.
will ask us, how come you criticize the people on the Weiner line? But they know exactly what they're getting into. They call because they want the reaction. And if they get it, then they win, and they call the next day. Even if it's us making fun of them, that's a win. Any reaction is a good reaction on that.
Okay, nobody else in town now does sports talk. I mean, there was a brief period of time there was some competition, but who do you see your competition as now in the morning?
That's a good question.
Everybody that's
I
going
guess
from
every other station.
Yeah, everybody.
I mean, whatever. Name a station. We're all going after the morning show audience.
But you guys are the only ones doing sports as your main
Well, I
topic.
mean, without trying to be cute, sometimes talking about the Bills is not what you want to talk about with the way that they've been. And it's our job to make it interesting and continue to, serve our listeners. So if somebody else is talking about something else, that is still a competition. It's not the competition for who can talk about the Bills. It's a competition for who can get the ears. And for us, our topic is mainly sports. We'll drift into other things from time to time, but we compete with news, we compete with politics, we compete with lifestyle, everything.
So are you saying at some point you would have liked to have played a cut from Adele's latest album? Is that what you're saying, Jeremy?
Not quite that. Not quite that. But anything else, we have freedom to get into other areas for sure.
Going back to the 80s when you were doing radio, how's the business changed for you?
Well, a lot. I mean, social media for one thing. I didn't have to tweet during the show back in the 1980s. You have to be on top of so much more because of the internet, because of Twitter, because of Facebook, because of all. And I've learned a lot from Jeremy because he's the younger guy, so he's in tune with all this stuff. I'm older guy, old school guy, so it's more of a challenge because there's so many more avenues where there's information. And you got to be up on all that stuff. And it's changed. It isn't just, an old sports talk show. We'll bring up music. We'll bring up news issues. We'll bring up just about anything, politics, but we're careful because that can spark some really nasty debates. But, so I've had to adjust because I think that's the way radio and the way our business is operated has adjusted. It's definitely different from what it was 20, 30 years ago. No question.
When you think back to your life, I can remember where I was during a sporting event 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and sporting events almost like mark the years in your life. And I think we've been on long enough where people think back to the Sabres playoff run in 06-07, and they not only associate the run, but what it was like to listen to the station at that time. Like we were together for that, and you become. It's an honor in some degree to become a part of that. To become the next morning. You're going to be listening to us and talking with us about the game, as good or as bad as it was. The first two words out of my mouth after the Cowboys Monday night disaster were "fire everyone." You become a part of it, and I think that's generally what the job is supposed to be about.
One last quick question: if I only had one air shift to listen to on the station, should I listen in the morning or should I listen in the afternoon?
Is there an afternoon show on the station?
Do we get the day off if you listen to the afternoon?
Yes.
Well, then go for it.
Oh, I get to sleep in.
Yeah, we'll take a day off.
Chopin Bulldog need the job.